Welcome to the CCFR Radio Podcast, your source for news, updates, and stories from the CCFR.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 33 of the CCFR Radio Podcast. I'm your host, Rod Giltaka. Thanks for joining me again. You're probably wondering, why am I hearing another podcast within a week of the last one? And the answer is there's so much going on in the CCFR and there's so much going on in our community that I had to make another podcast to inform you about it all. So I guess it's bonus week of the CCFR. So to help me go through everything that you need to know, I've got Tracey Wilson coming on. I'm going to have a conversation via Skype with her. It's far better and far less boring than listening to me monologue and drone on about what's going on in the CCFR. So there's some things that we need you to do to help advocate for yourselves. And there's some things we need to remind you about. And there's some things that we need to inform you about that are going on in our community right now. So I'm going to have Tracey Wilson in the next segment. Also, I'm going to include an interview that I did with Corie Levitt of High Capacity Magazine. That's the official magazine of the CCFR. If you want to sign up for that, you can get a deeply discounted subscription if you are renewing. When you go to firearmrights.ca, if you're a renewing member, you can opt into that. Or if you're a new member, you can opt into that as well when you're signing up online. So you can always check that out. But we did an interview just talking a little bit about the magazine and a little bit about the CCFR in Las Vegas at SHOT Show. So you can enjoy that as the last segment of the show. Hope you enjoy it, and we will be right back with Tracey Wilson.
If the government decided that your rifle or shotgun is too dangerous to own and told you that you had to surrender it for destruction or go to jail, what would you think? Could you think back about all the things you did to prevent that from happening? Or would you wonder why you didn't do anything about it before it was too late? I get it. Activism is a lot of work, and most people don't have the time. Something that you can do to protect your own way of life is support the CCFR. For $40 a year, you can be a part of the hardest working firearm organization in Canada and get $5 million of insurance. The CCFR lobbies government and works to improve the public image of gun owners through media and educational campaigns. Protect your own ability to own and use firearms. Go to firearmrights.ca and click Why Join. That's firearmrights.ca.
Okay, we're back on the Skype with Tracey Wilson. Tracey's going to help me do the CCFR update, and just because so much is going on. How's it going, Tracey?
Good, Rod. How you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for asking. All right,
Perfect.
So we've got a ton of stuff to cover. I want to try to cover it as quickly and as concisely as possible. So let's get started. So first thing, Larry Miller had his town hall with Bill Blair, the actual only public consultation of the public consultations, and you were there. So give us just a quick summary of what happened.
I got to tell you, Rod, this was a true public consultation. And, it was great. Larry opened up with letting everyone know that you had 90 seconds to either make a statement and or pose a question to the minister. And then he also put Bill Blair on that same 90-second time limit, which is interesting because, as you're aware, and from, recent reports, Bill seems to monopolize the amount of time with his own speaking so that there's less time for, citizens to have their voice heard. So this was a really great opportunity. He let Bill do a brief, 3 to 5 minute statement to open up. And then Larry basically handed it over to his constituents, which was absolutely amazing, selfless, and awesome of Larry. And I got to tell you, this is a really rural area, and, a lot of hunters and farmers and, people like that. And I was a little concerned sometimes, you get to these events, everybody's seen it, and maybe people are a little over emotional, or they're not prepared, or, they just don't know how to concisely, state their opinions. And it ends up in a, emotional yelling or just people being upset. This was not the case with this event. This was everyone was so well articulated. People had their questions pre-written out, pre-timed out. Very few people actually had to be reminded that they were running out of time. And they covered every topic imaginable. Like, I got up and I spoke too, but I was sitting in my seat and I'm thinking, oh, someone's got to mention C-75. Somebody's got to talk about self-defense. There was all these little issues that kept popping up in my mind. And next thing you know, the next guy would come up and mention something that was in my mind. So, like, what a win. It was 2 hours of people just drilling Bill Blair. And, he had his pre-scripted answers and talking points already made. So there wasn't a lot of new things out of Bill other than a complete focus on central storage, which, I don't know. I've sloughed off this idea of central storage so many times. We had Senator Céline Hervé-Payette, who had the Senate Bill S-223, and she, that bill died. But, she had brought up the idea of central storage. And of course, it's just not something that's even attainable in most jurisdictions. But it was funny because Bill kept circling back around to it and repeating the talking points out of the mandate letter from Justin Trudeau, which says, consult on a handgun ban while not impeding the lawful use. And I thought to myself, that's the ticket right there. Keeping your restricted firearms at a shooting range, which is the only place you're really allowed to use them regularly, doesn't, in their minds, impede the lawful use. And I thought, wow. So I think this thing is going to take a completely different turn than where it was going to begin with. So yeah, I did do a live Facebook video after the event. It's on my Facebook wall and posted publicly, so you can watch it there. And I'm also going to put up a briefing on a web story today, just an overview of what happened, how it went, and what we can do next.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
The central storage thing is completely insane. And rest assured that your report has been loud and clear, received loud and clear at the CCFR, and I will make sure that we're ready when they come out with something that references central storage or anything else. We're ready with a public relations campaign, and that's what I'm doing all day. So I'm getting ready for the storm, and it will not go unanswered, I assure you.
And this is the importance, Rod, of us literally being everywhere. I don't know how many kilometers I put on the car this weekend, 1,600, I believe, just running the roads, attending everything we can possibly attend. We've got our ear to the ground, our thumb on the pulse, and this is what's required in order to keep up with the ever changing attack on gun owners. So, it gives us a leg up on these guys for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Next, we got to keep moving.
Yep.
We will be testifying at the Senate Committee on National Security and Defense, so that's good news.
Yes.
I think it's going to be somewhere the week of the 18th of this month, but when I have a time and a date, I'll let everybody know, and at least the CCFR will be there to make a statement against this ridiculous bill, so that's good news. Also,
well, that is great. I'm just going to chime in quickly just on this bill and its situation in the Senate right now. There was an interesting story out of iPolitics quoting Senator Mobina Jaffer, who sits on this committee. And she stated to Tim Nomitz that she had not received any letters of support for Bill C-71. Only messages of opposition from legal gun owners who say that they're bearing the brunt of a government push to address gun crime and shootings in big cities. So I think that's really interesting, and I just want to throw that in there. That
so only the truth. Yeah.
Right. She's only receiving the truth. Now, I just want to throw that in there. To me, this speaks to the effectiveness of writing. I know it's a tedious job, and I'm constantly, harassing everybody with calls to action to do this. But this is a prime example of why it's so important. So the Senate's going into the study of this bill, literally only hearing negative opposition to it. So that's incredible. And I'll put out another call to action this afternoon because we're going to hit them again.
Yep. And that's really important. And, I had a conversation with an MP who will remain nameless. And that person, I think I might even mention this, but anyway, that person had said, don't think that what you and your group and your people, your members, and even people that aren't members that just, hang around with your group, don't think that what you're doing isn't making a difference. It absolutely is. And that's a good example of that. And, I know it feels, I'll agree with you, it feels futile to be sending letters to people that are probably against us regardless, but it does make a difference. And, writing letters and, attending gun shows to try to spread the word in your own community and talking to people online and all that stuff, it's consistent with what our tagline or our mantra is. And you hear it in all the ads that I create for the podcast, which is stand up for your own ability to own and use firearms. And that means join the CCFR, help us afford to send you all over the place and to lobby and to do public relations and explainer videos and, and everything else that we do, but also do, carve off an hour a week and just write a couple of letters and slap them in the mail. It costs you 80 cents, whatever, per envelope. And, and do that kind of stuff. It really does make a difference.
Mail to the House of Commons and the Senate, actually. You don't even need to put a stamp on it. You just address it, drop it in the mailbox. And even if you don't hear back from them, I know it is defeating to not even hear back from some of them. I've written Mobina, I don't know how many times, probably at least 12, and she's never responded to me. Yet here she is being quoted in an article, mentioning the fact that she has not received any supportive letters of C-71. So that means she's noticing those. So even though she's not, not giving me the time of day, that's okay. She's noticing because there's a stack of mail on her desk and her inbox is full, and that's important. So we're going to keep doing that.
Yeah. So maybe what we'll do is we'll send out a call to action where we put the link to the Standing Committee on National Security and Defense, and then you can see everyone that sits on that committee, and you can send them letters.
Yep.
So yeah, really, really important.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So next thing, I just want to make mention, and Tracey will help me do that, to make mention to send some complaints to the CBC Ombudsman about their biased reporting. We provided our members and the people that follow our group with all the ammunition that they need. I think it's 20 some odd one-sided articles, and that was only what I could find in 3 hours. So make sure that you take a couple of minutes, send an email to the Ombudsman and say, we're really sick and tired of being forced to pay for one-sided, biased, stereotyping journalism, and it won't be tolerated. So make sure you do that.
Yeah, you can find all the information for that on the CCFR website. There's an entire story about it, and within that story are the links to all their biased reporting. And as well, there's two different ombudsmen that we can hit with this, and that's ombudsman at radio-canada.ca and ombudsman at cbc.ca. Perfect.
Yep. So hit them hard, hit them often.
Yeah.
Next thing I wanted to chat with you real quick about is this surgeon that works at the University of Toronto, Najma Ahmed. And what this interesting cat has decided to do is she's decided to start an organization, and I'm just looking for, there it is. It's called Doctors for Protection from Guns. And basically, yeah, idiots. Anyway, and I'm not even joking. Some people are really book smart and are completely socially insensitive. And this is a group of such physicians that are completely tone deaf and disconnected from reality, and are absolute narcissists. So I'm sick and tired of the government and celebrities and all these people finger waving at me. Like I'm sick to the back teeth of it. And now these idiots have decided to jump on the bandwagon. So basically, if you go to their website, which is really junky, it looks like
it's terrible.
One of their kids did it or something. It's called Doctors for Protection from Guns.ca.
It sort of implies, first of all, that they're in direct threat of guns, or like I don't know. That's not even worded well, considering the education level these people are at. You would expect a little bit better messaging out of them.
Look at that web address. We were having a big argument when we started the CCFR that firearmrights.ca was too long of an address.
Yeah.
So we do have CCFR.ca, which just directs back to firearm rights, but we had already established firearmrights.ca, so we didn't want to change it. But I mean, look at this thing. It's like, 25 characters. Anyway, they're their latest, I guess, or their first action here is some day of action on April 3rd. And just to give you the tone of what this crazy group of insane physicians is involved in, it says, this is the description of it. Physicians and healthcare workers from across Canada will be holding a national day of action in communities from coast to coast on April 3rd, 2019, to call for stronger gun control laws, including the passage of C-71 and a handgun assault weapons ban. I think they mean handgun and assault weapons ban. Check back for more details on time and location in your community.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got to say, I've spent some time in hospitals, with my family and my kids and even myself. And, I don't want to detract from the work these people do, fixing people up, trying to save lives, doing the best they can. And, in the long run here, this doesn't make them policy experts on the firearms file. What it does is it makes them doctors. So, and even then, I was doing a little research this morning, and it says here in Canada, medical errors claim between 30,000 and 60,000 lives annually. And if you lowball that, let's say 30,000, let's go on the low end of that, and take away the 8,000 that are attributed to hospital-acquired infections, that's still 22,000 lives annually lost to medical malpractice. I'm not trying to slam all doctors, but you've got to put this into perspective. And if you want a really good visual on what that looks like, so what this article says is deaths from medical mistakes occur one patient at a time. Yet, taken together, they are the equivalent of a large city bus full of passengers crashing and killing everyone on board every single day of the year. And that's based on the most conservative figures of medical error deaths in Canada provided by the University Health Network. So, just as all doctors are not bad, right? It seems to be a fairly prevalent, it's a third leading cause of death in Canada. So if you're, if that's ranking right up there with cancer, I think we've got to be a little bit sensitive to, there more people lose their lives at the hands of medical malpractice than they do even against violence criminals. So, yeah, I don't know. This is an interesting take.
It's a real issue when people, leverage their bona fides to get into something that they don't really know anything about. And on their website, if you look at their position statement, it says the incidence of gun violence in Canadian society has been increasing, which it hasn't overall. But anyway, whatever. Injuries from firearms are often fatal. For victims who survive injuries are catastrophic and life-altering. I'm not sure that's proper English, but whatever. Even one victim from this largely preventable cause of injury or death is too many. Now, I've talked about this many times. You cannot start looking at legislation and regulation from the perspective of one death is too many. And of course, they end up being hypocrites for that. But this Najma Ahmed character, she tweeted, and I have not been blocked from, by her, which is interesting. But she said, Canadians need to be safe from guns. No civilian needs access to guns. The harm far outweigh any benefit. The evidence is clear. Sign the petition to ban handguns, E1923, write your MP. So, and then hashtag this is Arlene. What a moron. I feel bad for all the doctors, all the physicians in Canada that are gun owners and even keeled, humble, competent people, because they have these people walking among them to discredit them to no end. And of course, I put a pretty strong retweet because that kind of triggers me, right? When people are like, yeah, you don't need this, you don't need that. And it's really bad. So anyway, our response to this is twofold. We need your help. Okay.
Yep.
We're asking you to help you. So the first thing is we'd like you to sign the petition E1883. If you haven't done it, it's closing like within a couple of days. It closes this Friday. So you got to sign it. And it's Michelle Rempel's petition. I think it's sitting at 37,000 signatures, give or take right now. We want to try to get that over 40 because the petition that she's referencing is Wendy Sukier's petition, and it's got 13,000, and it's been open since November. So of course they never get the support they think they need or deserve. And we want to make sure that we are way overshadowing them. So make sure that you sign that petition. And then, Tracey, you've got another call to action as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is something that we could do about this. For me, I find somebody using their stature in the community or their elevated status as a physician or a surgeon, using that to weigh in on social justice issues like this and, form an unsubstantiated opinion and, of course, call for an attack on gun owners. I think that's an injustice. So I'm going to be writing a web story today, and I'll put that up there. What we're going to ask you to do is to everybody out there to file a complaint against this physician in particular with the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Ontario. And you can state the reason that this person's bias or irrational judgmentalism of millions of Canadians is dangerous in our society, right? So I'm going to put all that information up there. There's a simple PDF. I'll put all the instructions on how to fill that out, what to write. You can contact me if you have any questions at tracy.wilson@firearmrights.ca. And I'm going to get that stuff out there today. I think I really want her just to concentrate on the job at hand, and her job is at the hospital. It's not on the, on the pulpits. So we're going to try and get her to focus on what she should be focusing on. So stay tuned for more on that. I'll be posting it this afternoon.
Right. And so as you said, or I'm paraphrasing, you will be providing step-by-step instructions on how to lodge that complaint. So
absolutely.
There's certain hot buttons for any organization to take complaints. For us, it's like, one of our representatives were drunk at an event and, they had to be escorted out by security. Well, that's one thing. Or somebody might say, well, they had a very strong opinion on Twitter. Okay, we deal in opinions and we deal in facts and we deal in public relations. So that's what we do. But yeah, that maybe the public drunkenness is a little bit over. So we want to make sure that we know what it is that I think it's going to be the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Ontario or whatever, Ontario Medical Association. We want to know what it is that they find objectionable, and that's what we're going to, specifically, and that's what we're going to complain about, which is her, using her position to talk about things that she doesn't really know anything about, and also using her physician credentials to chime in on politics, which doesn't reflect properly, on the profession. So anyway, all of the instructions will be there. Tracey will make sure that you've got that and links and everything you need to go do that. So if you can be even-keeled and reasonable and just say, hey, you know what, this is not what she should be doing, and she shouldn't be leveraging her bona fides to do that. That's, it's inappropriate. And ethics may be an ethics issue. It would be really great if, again, it's you guys helping yourself and showing that we're a community to be reckoned with. We're not going to just sit there and let all these people just beat us up and stereotype us and paint us with the same brush. It's not good.
No, it's not good at all. And the only thing I'm going to add about this complaint is, unfortunately, it's only accepted via paper mail, so snail mail. But I'm going to put all the instructions there so everybody can do that. And it's important. I know it's not convenient, and I think it's intentional that this complaint filing process is not convenient, but it's important, and it's going to take 5 or 10 minutes out of your day. But it's really important that you get that done before the end of the week.
Yeah, I think I'll put on my list of things to do an official letter from the CCFR.
That would be great.
Well.
Yeah, we should do that and put that out there for everybody. But I'm gonna go ahead and do this call to action for this complaint against the doctor immediately, and we can go from there.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Rod's right. Go sign that other petition, E1883. You can literally just Google that if you don't know the link, but I'll post it around as well. But go and sign Michelle's petition. We have 3 days to add signatures to it. And to be perfectly honest, although it's 3 times the size of Wendy's at this point, it's still pretty pathetic because we're not even over the 40,000 mark, and we have 2.2 million gun owners. So yeah.
And it's important from the perspective of will an e-petition with 86,000 signatures, will that change the direction of government? No, but it's something that we can point to all the time to say, no, people aren't on your side. You guys have run 5 different petitions in the last 5 months, and you failed to get over 15,000 signatures on any of them. And we don't have a single firearm petition that doesn't have less than 40,000. No,
right.
Your opinion is not the popular opinion.
It's a tangible measurement of the climate. So that's what we've got to. That's the reason for signing these things, and it also gets our opinion read out on the record in the House of Commons. All these parliamentary e-petitions are put into the record in the House of Commons. Whether they're ignored or not, which they are, but it's still a great. A great practice, and exactly, it's something tangible that we can circle back to.
Perfect. All right. It's been 20 minutes, and my vision was that this would be 8 minutes.
We always fail to stay within the time limits.
Yeah. But anyways, I think it's all really important information, and it's important information for our members, and as I said, for them to help themselves. So let's wrap it up for now. And thanks for coming on with me, Tracey. I will be right back with Corie Levitt from High Capacity Magazine to talk about that. And we'll see you next time.
Have a great day.
All right.
Right now, there are politicians and bureaucrats working day and night to eliminate your ability to own and use firearms in Canada. They're talking about not allowing you to keep your firearms at home and even taking away the ones you already have. It's not a joke. It's not an exaggeration. Once you lose rights, it's nearly impossible to get them back. Activism is a lot of work, and most people don't have the time. But something that you can do is support the CCFR. For $40 a year, you can be a part of the hardest working firearm organization in Canada and get $5 million worth of insurance. The CCFR lobbies government and works to improve the public image of gun owners through media and educational campaigns. Protect your own ability to own and use firearms before it's too late. Go to firearmrights.ca and click Why Join. That's firearmrights.ca.
We are here on the show floor of the 2019 SHOT Show in Las Vegas, Nevada. I've got Corie and Doug from Coat of Arms TV / High Capacity Magazine here. How's it going, guys?
It's going great.
Yeah, thanks, Rod.
It's my pleasure. So I thought we would talk real quick today about first. Well, you guys have Coat of Arms TV, so it's a YouTube channel, and there's a bunch of other stuff in the works, which is exciting.
Yes.
And also, I wanted to talk about specifically High Capacity Magazine. So that's the magazine that we partnered with the CCFR. How did the whole thing start?
Well, it's something that we'd been wanting to do for a while, and we were involved in a live fire trade show in 2018 that we were helping organize and promote. And we put together basically a magazine / proof of concept to kind of test the waters and see what sort of feedback we would get in putting together a kind of a new format for a firearms magazine. And it was given out at GAT Show and to some select retailers. And we thought, let's feel the market and see what's happening.
Yeah, and Rod, I think when we did that, the big thing was that the majority of the people gave us real positive feedback and said, this could be something moving forward. I don't know that we knew for sure that we were going to move forward with it, but given the response, it was almost a no-brainer.
Yeah, and it's a little bit different. That obviously we have Caliber magazine, so
correct.
Yeah,
shout out to Caliber, which is a fantastic magazine, by the way.
It really is, and it's come a long way in I think 4 years that Dan's been publishing it. But your magazine / our magazine, to some extent, is a little bit different.
And I think that was the goal right off the hop. Like, Dan does what Dan does really well. And so we wanted to do something a bit different, cover some of the events, the people, stuff that you wouldn't see in Caliber. And I think that's the important part. So
Culture.
Yeah,
culture,
yeah. Personalities. There's a lot of personalities and a lot of people in the Canadian firearms world that are doing a lot of crazy and great things, and not everybody knows about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. So what made you want to partner with the CCFR?
I think the first thing, a mutual friend of ours, Dave Partinen, was a field officer with the CCFR and since has moved up the chain. We are in a position of having worked with Dave for a number of years.
We've trained with him at several training academies, and very similar mindset and that sort of thing.
And I would say we would give credit to Dave on that behalf, because we were kind of I guess floored with a lot of the stuff we have going on. Like you mentioned before, we have a lot of things going on, and sometimes we take inspiration from others, and that was a huge piece from Dave. He brought it to the table and said, hey man, you know what I think would be a good fit is the CCFR, and we were like, how do we not think of this, right?
Yeah.
So that's how it began, and I think he started the dialogue, and that's how we kind of come to be. And I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? Canada's number one growing advocacy group, and Canada's number one growing media group is the way we look at it.
A lot of it is we're everywhere, and you guys are everywhere. Every event, Coat of Arms is there. Every event, CCFR is there.
Yeah.
So there's some similarities there.
Those are some broad statements.
Yes,
but I'm not going to resist them. That's yeah. I think it's an excellent fit, and just to agree with what Corie said, the magazine approaches things from a very different perspective, almost from a public relations perspective, and to me that's why it was a good fit for the CCFR, because we're trying to humanize gun owners. It's not always about the gear and all that stuff. It's about the fact that we own a lot of firearms. We don't shoot. We very rarely shoot each other with them. And there's a rich gun culture that has been, well, I guess we've been in the closet for years. We tried that. It didn't work. And so now we're coming out front. So
yeah, no, I think that's a great statement. And to kind of reiterate what you're saying to some degree, but in kind of a different tone, is that meeting with you and having the opportunity to have some time, we realize how similar we are. I mean, gun owners in general, we have a lot of similarities. But in terms of mindset, goals, all these things, we're going in the same direction. So the CCFR is definitely the perfect fit for High Capacity Magazine.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we're glad that that's worked out, and we think that the coverage that the different sports and as you said, personalities in the magazine, I think they're covered very well, and there's nowhere to go but up.
Absolutely, and as Doug can attest to, the biggest thing for us is sport shooters. They don't get the coverage they need in Canada. They don't get the support from sponsors that they need like they do in the U.S. And we're hoping to change that. We're trying to give them a forum and a showcase so that maybe some of the other companies and industries in Canada can pick up on them and stand behind them, because these are some of the hardest working individuals and doing this on their own dime.
Yeah, there's not that ecosystem of support like they have in the U.S. For a variety of reasons. Obviously, we don't need to get into that because that in itself is a complex conversation. But no, I think it's going to be a really great outlet for people to get a little bit more recognition. They deserve it. There just really wasn't a whole lot out there to provide it.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. We're sitting here lining up for an important meeting. Hopefully, we'll be able to have some more to report after SHOT Show and leading up to the new season. I'm looking forward to this shooting season as well. And congratulations on your show with the CCFR Canada's Downrange. Like, what a great job you've done, Rod.
I don't know if I'll take that compliment, but it was certainly a little bit harder than it needed to be. But I actually am excited about the TV show, and I told a few people in some conversations that I've had over the week that it's one thing to say, yeah, this is coming, or we got a deal and we're going to do a TV show, and that's all exciting. But when it's actually done and it's showing, I think that's where the real pride kicked in, because it wasn't easy. No one's ever done it before. It was a real struggle, but it's showing, and the show's great. The show looks awesome. I think it's one of the best shows on Wild TV's network right now.
Like, people go, hey, have you guys seen it? Have you seen that show? And we're like, yeah, it's awesome. Like, I agree.
Awesome, huh?
Never done before.
I get some feedback, but not a whole lot, because I'm not on social media that much. I'm busy.
We are.
Well, that's good. That's encouraging. And season 2 is we're in discussions for season 2. That's not the secret. Project X. But there is another Project X that's coming up. So who knows? Maybe we'll have season 2 on the air and some other stuff too.
I think there's lots of big things to come, and a few other projects on our end too, like with Coat of Arms and some other stuff that we're working on, and some lots of room for everyone.
Yeah, right? and we still got to crank out some more magazines. So
Yeah. So we have a new issue coming out right after SHOT Show. That's a big one for us because we have a very small window to report from what we've learned here at SHOT, and then get the magazine out to print for our February 15th release. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But the one thing I do want to point out is anybody who subscribes to the magazine is it's a work in progress. Right? We're starting at the ground floor, and I think that one thing to recognize, each issue is going to keep getting better, and our end goal is to give value back to the readers. So, and advertisers, because we believe if it's in the hands of the end customer, the advertiser is going to win, and that's what's going to help us be able to have the resources to make the magazine the best that it can be.
Well, I don't think you're going to have much problem taking it to the next level every single time. If you look at the Proof of Concept magazine to the issue that just came out a couple of months ago, huge improvement. I'm sure the next issue is going to be mind-blowing.
Thanks, Rod. We appreciate that support. And you know what? I can't say enough about the support from the CCFR on this project. We were absolutely floored at the growth of it. We couldn't have even expected. We were joking the other day. Every 2 weeks we get an update of, hey, this is how many people are subscribed, and keeping up with that is a challenge, and one we accept.
And the people that we've been working with at CCFR, you guys are working. Between Tracey, Dave, Steve on the back end, he's been doing a great job. You guys have got it together organizationally as well, and we're impressed.
Well, I don't know if I'll agree with that. I feel like we're running around all over the place trying to hold the ship together because, I'll take the compliment that we're working, because we are working hard. We're working ourselves to death to do as many things as we can, but it's not always perfectly smooth. But no, I really appreciate the partnership, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to talk to me today.
No, thanks, Rod. Thanks for having us.
All right, take care. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for episode 33 of the CCFR Radio Podcast. A couple of reminders before I let you go. Don't forget to go and sign e-petition 1883. That's Michelle Rempel's e-petition. Basically, it just says, leave us alone. But it's really important. It's a great talking point, and it's a great gauge of public mood when we have these petitions available and the number of people that sign them. We talked about that already, so I won't beat that to death. The other thing is, don't forget to, when you see a biased story on CBC, man, when would you ever see one of those on that on that outlet? But anyway, they'll keep us busy forever, I think, on that front. But whenever you see a biased article, make sure that you complain to the CBC Ombudsman. You can find out instructions and how to kind of craft that message on that web story that you'll find at firearmrights.ca. Look forward to seeing us testifying on the Senate Committee for National Security and Defense, I think in a couple of weeks. I'll have an exact date on that soon. And thanks everybody for supporting the CCFR. If you can support us, that's great. If you can become a member if you're not already, we really appreciate that. And don't forget, one of the most important things is just to advocate. Send letters, talk to people, get online, spread the explainer videos, use the tools that we're providing. All that kind of stuff is just as important as supporting the CCFR. So really appreciate it. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
This is another episode of the CCFR Radio Podcast. Remember, if you don't stand up for your own ability to own and use firearms, who will? Join the CCFR or donate right now at www.firearmrights.ca.